Hey guys, what's good? Welcome back to my channel, and in this video we are going to be doing identify the AWS account ID from a public S3 bucket. This is pretty much another basic lab, nothing very difficult in this. I would say the main learning point is just understanding that there's a tool that can be used to enumerate or find the account ID if we have the public S3 bucket. That is pretty much, I would say, it for the learning outcomes in this. We can also actually see over here, learning outcomes, it says knowledge of a technique that can be used to find AWS account ID, which is the tool, and understanding how this tool operates or performs. Besides that, there's nothing really much to say, but actually there is one more thing to touch upon. This tool actually requires some roles and permissions, which you can either use these credentials, and this account has those roles and permissions set up. But I didn't want to do it that way because it would just be way too fast. This would be like a 2-3 minute video then. Instead, we're going to create it ourselves and assign those permissions. So yeah, that is pretty much it. But we'll get to those permissions and how the tool operates and works eventually. So let's start off with the scenario. The ability to expose and leverage even the smallest oversights is a coveted skill, however you want to pronounce it. A global logistics company has reached out to our cybersecurity company for assistance and have provided the IP address of their website. Your objective: start the engagement and use this IP address to identify their AWS account ID via a public S3 bucket so that we can commence the process of enumeration. All right then, so let's take this IP and see what type of access it has. Usually from these labs, we probably assume right away that it's a website. And in this case, that is it. Just going to this IP, we see that this website shows up. Clicking around, it's pretty much a dead website that doesn't lead anywhere, but we can check the source code. And the source code reveals an S3 bucket right over here, which is used by the website and contains images. So if we click this right here, an image is going to pop up. And this is public, so anyone can access it. This is why it's all popping up and we can view it. But yeah, from this, since we found the S3 bucket, we can go ahead and try to enumerate the account ID. Now, the tool to do this is called S3 account search. And what this requires is that a role, it says that it needs permission of two things, the get object one and the list bucket permission. And we need a role that we can assume that has these permissions. That's pretty much it. But yeah, let's go ahead and see how this works first of all. So when we have these two permissions, which are assigned to a role that we can assume. Let's see over here. Yeah, okay. So when we have these permissions, what this script does is it gets the session, or it assumes the role for us and gets that session. And in that session, it adds some restriction or some restricted policies to our permissions. So although we can list buckets and get object, what it's going to do is going to restrict us and add this condition to it, which is this resource account. And what this restriction does is it limits the account IDs that we can do this on. Or account IDs, yeah, pretty much that's it. So for example, if we wanted to list this bucket over here, Mega Big Tech, this bucket, it would add a restriction and say, if the account ID starts with 1, and it will add this wild card character over here. So it has to start with 1. And if it's true, it'll come back and it would work. And if it's not 1, it'll go to the next one, loop through it, go to 2, wild card character. If it exists, then it'll go to the second character. So it would go to like 21 if that exists with the wild card character, and continue on. So it's going to add this restriction to that session that it's going to get when it assumes the role. But it might not make sense right now, but eventually when we make these roles and go through with it, it might become much clearer then. So yeah, I also wrote over here, it allows S3 actions, so the actions that we want to perform, but only if the resource or bucket object belongs to a certain account ID. So it starts with 1, and we'd put like a star over here, and so on, you know? All right, so let's go to our AWS account. We are in our root account. This is my own CyberMage over here. But yeah, we can go to IAM and start off with first creating our user. So let's go to users and create user. And we can call our user CyberMage attacker. What is going on? Attacker. Next, we're not going to add any permissions right now, and we can just keep it like that. Now we can go ahead and create our policy. This policy that we're going to make is going to be attached to a role that we will make right after this. Let's go with create policy, and the service we want is S3. And we could do all S3 actions over here, or we can just get the permissions that we need exactly. So this get object one, and the other one is list bucket. List bucket. And over here, it asks us if we want to allow for any resource or to the specific ARN, which would be the bucket, which would be this bucket over here, Mega Big Tech. But in our case, we'll just leave it lenient and go with any. And just click next and give this policy a name. We'll just call this policy S3. And yeah, let's create it. So now that that's made, we can go to roles and now create a role. And it's going to be for our AWS account, this whole account, this global account, pretty much. And it can be used. And over here, we can go and write policy S3. This is a customer managed, the one that we made. And click next. The role name is going to be role S3. And yeah, we can just keep it as this, the trust policy the same, because since this is in this AWS account, it will also apply to our CyberMage attacker user that we made. So we can go ahead and create the role. And now we have the trust policy for the role. The role also has that policy assigned to it. All we have to do is give our user the permission to assume the role. So what we can do here is go to our CyberMage attacker, permission. Let's add an inline policy, which is going to be directly to our user. Let's go to JSON and just remove this. And we can copy paste this over here. And yeah, let's go back here, and because we're going to need the ARN of the role that we made, and we can just click roles, this, and just copy this. Perfect. And now we're just going to click next, and okay, we're going to have to name this. Let's call this user policy. Great. And there we go. Now the next thing would be to give our user some way of access so we can log into this user. And we can go to security credentials over here and go to access key. We're going to create an access key. And this is going to be used for this AWS CLI. So we can just click this and click this to confirm. No tags needed. And over here, you guys should pretty much stop what you're doing because you only can view the secret access key once or download it once. So make sure you save it somewhere before you click done. We're going to go ahead and take this and log in to AWS configure. There we go. And let's check if we logged in correctly. There we go. We have Cyber Mage Attacker, our user that we made. Just click done over here. And now we can run the tool. Before we do that, is there anything else that I need to explain? No, that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and do S3 account search. And we can add our role R and A over here. Right here, which we are going to assume, and then that policy or that restriction policy is going to be assigned to it, which would restrict our access, and it's going to try to access Mega Big Tech, this bucket, that's the bucket's name, and yeah, it's going to loop through all the possible account IDs, and there we go, 1, and over here would be like a wildcard character, which would come out to true. Then it'd go to the next one and next one. And since this is public, we could access it, right? And that just, since this is public, anyone can access it and can get the account ID. And we'll let this run for a bit. And basically this account ID would allow access to public resources owned or exposed by the account owner, which could be EBS or RDS snapshots, and we'll get to that in a second. Let's just wait. Yeah, okay, it's done. One of the things is that these S3 buckets are usually in a region, and to get that region, we can just curl the bucket, and in one of the headers, it will show us the region that this bucket exists in, US East 1. And the reason why this is important is because if we could assume that because a company put a bucket in this region, that they probably have all their other resources in this region. So let's go ahead and go to EC2 right here and go over here from EBS snapshots, Elastic's block store snapshots. And actually first we got to change this to US East 1. We're already in there, so that's good. And let's just take our account ID. And by the way, this is going to be the flag. I think it's okay to show because this is a public and free lab, and even in the lab guide, they show the flag. So shouldn't make a difference. And just click search. And over here, we're just going to change, instead of owned by me, we can just do public snapshots. And we can let this run for a bit. This sometimes takes a while, so it's whatever. Let's see how long this video is. It's only 13 minutes, not that long. But should be done very soon. And it's just demonstrating that, hey, there's something public that we can access and use, and that we found using the account ID. And there it is. So yeah, that is pretty much it. And we can further use this to enumerate other stuff using the snapshot. But yeah, I think we're probably going to do that in the next lab, which I'm going to post. But yeah, take care guys, and see ya.